I'm afraid, as Caribbean people, we are not going to forget our history. We don't just want to hear an apology, we want reparation.
Breaking right now, the Labour Party, King Charles, and most significantly, our Foreign Secretary, Lammy, are opening the doors for the UK to pay an astonishing minimum £200 billion reparation compensation because of our role in the slave trade. Now, this is an amount, by the way, £200 million, that is a very light estimate. Indeed, some of the estimates go up to trillions. This is because a group of 15 Caribbean governments has unanimously agreed to put slavery reparations on the table at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting attended by Charles in Samoa. It's been led by the Prime Minister of Barbados. But what the big issue with this is that King Charles himself did open the door up to such a potential policy just a couple of years ago. And here's a reminder of why Lammy is so devastating to have in post during such sensitive discussions.
I'm afraid, as Caribbean people, we are not going to forget our history. We don't just want to hear an apology, we want reparation.
As Caribbean people. That's our Foreign Secretary, the British Foreign Secretary. Ben Walker, chairman of UKIP, back now. Ben, this is an incredibly slippery slope, isn't it? And unfortunately, even though I think King Charles has done a very good job since taking the throne, his wokery did in part open the door up to this. And it's a very unwise thing for the royal family to be even considering. Because as soon as you open the doors up to reparations, you also open the doors up to the royal family itself being abolished.
Yeah, where does it stop? That's the problem, isn't it? We could all make a case for reparations of some sort. What about the Irish who were getting sort of ripped away from their island by the Romans and stuff like that and made eunuchs? I mean, we could just keep going. And you're right. Unfortunately for Charles, his wokery precedes him. So he has a difficult hand to play. With our good friend there, Mr. Lammy. I mean, the guy is just fundamentally a racist. There's no two ways about it. He is stoking division within our country, and that is not the way that I would see a Secretary of State or wish to see one acting. He's bad news. Actually, I mean, if you go one step further, this is a guy who's got he has two passports. He's got a Ghanaian passport as well. I mean, is that what you'd expect? I don't know. I mean, there's so many questions. I mean, just in Labour, within our Labour, insidious Labour government, I've got a word I'd like to share with you, Dan. I love this word. It's a 17th century word, right? And it's called spuddle. Now, to spuddle is to work.
This is new for me.
Sorry?
It's new for me. So go on. What's the definition?
So spuddle is to work ineffectively, to be extremely busy whilst achieving absolutely nothing. And I think it sums them up. They're giving it all the talk and all the rhetoric, whilst really they're achieving absolutely nothing apart from really stoking up division and then trying to cloak that with saying, well, you've got to watch out for the far right and all this populism because it's bad news. I mean, they really, really are tearing the heart from this country. The broken heart that was barely beating in the first place, but they are firmly stamping on that now.
Yeah, completely. That's a really good analogy, actually, beating on our broken heart without any doubt. The problem with the reparation debate, though, too, Ben, is that it's one of those cases of you give an inch and they're going to take a mile. So these are extremists, and we have to just be very honest about the fact that they are extremists. So Mia Mottley, for example, who is the Prime Minister of Barbados, has been meeting the King earlier this month, praising the fact that Charles declared 2 years ago that slavery is a, quote, conversation whose time has come. And that's the risk, isn't it? Because we're never going to appease her. I mean, at the moment, Ben, we can't even afford, according to Labour, the winter fuel bill for our pensioners. Some of them World War II heroes who gave everything to this country. And if you listen to extremists like Mia Mottley, the Barbados Prime Minister, we could be having to pay out up to £19 trillion. That figure, by the way, was cited last year by the UN judge Patrick Robinson, who actually called it an underestimation of the damage caused by the slave trade. So these people are mad. They are completely mad. They want to bankrupt us morally and financially. And I would say, Charles, do not invite this woman in to Buckingham Palace. You're giving her so much rope in which she wants to hang us with.
Oh, you're absolutely right, and we'll never fathom exactly why Charles has taken that move. But the £300. I mean, that is essentially, that's a political attack on the pensioners, and I know you've said things like that before. But then when we look at what Labour have done for the train drivers, if those guys work a 5-day week, they get a £300 bonus anyway. So it's completely mad what's going on with the repatriations. You're right, that's never going to stop. And our country was instrumental in stopping the slave trade. Sailors that went before me, almost 2,000 of them died. They paid with their lives trying to stop that trade, and effectively did. So of course, I understand that some people went through some absolutely awful situations pertaining to that kind of that business. But where do you stop? And this is the issue. And you're never, like you quite rightly say, never going to please these people. So can we not just draw a line under it and try and move forward in a positive manner instead of trying to bankrupt this country even more than it already is?
Of course. And look, it's over 200 years ago that we abolished slavery. Should we not just be so proud of that? I feel absolutely no shame. I think that the British Empire did so much good for the world, and I absolutely celebrate it. And of course, I'm someone that was born in a British colony, New Zealand. Actually, if New Zealand had never been colonized by the English and become part of the British Empire, I shudder to think what a backward society that would have been. Now, that may not be a popular thing to say, but I'm sorry, that is the reality, because New Zealand, before the British Empire took over, was effectively a tribal system with no development whatsoever. But even more than that, what I think is so shocking about these types of woke arguments is where it ends. Because no one on this planet today was directly impacted by slavery. And if you open the door up to start saying reparations are deserved by people whose ancestors were somehow affected by it, well, okay, what about gay people, for example? And I feel very comfortable on this front, given I fall into that grouping, Ben. But what about gay people? Should we all be compensated because a generation ago it was illegal to be gay? Of course we shouldn't. Move on. Just move on.
I mean, the UK generally has a checkered history, but if you were to look at any of the countries that it's had something to do with, they are generally left in a better position than they started.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fact. I mean, if you look at some of the countries that France colonized, well, they definitely didn't end up in a better state. So New Zealand is an absolute success story, and you're quite right. We could take this argument and sort of use it across all kind of different sectors, people, communities, whatever. But it just has to stop. We have to move forward because there are bigger fish to fry, unfortunately. I mean, I grew up in a working class area. I didn't have any special opportunities. I had to work for what I've got. And I look at images from, the Second World War, Londoners crawling around in rubble, rationing for years. Where was where was their opportunity? They worked for it. Let's stop playing the whole victimhood card. We've all got our backstories. Let's just get on with the job and make this country great again.
Totally. Stop apologizing for our past, because actually we've done far more positive things than harm. That is the reality. And the reparation debate is leading nowhere. I believe it's a woke trap. Because the thing is, if you actually look at what wokery is, and I had Ayaan Hirsi Ali on the other day, a brilliant woman, to talk about this, Ben, but wokery is actually all about destroying the West. It's about destroying white men in particular. And remember, white men have so much to be proud of in terms of why we're here and why we're strong as a nation today. If you've been following my channel, you know I've talked about Verso before. They were my first ever sponsor for a reason. I've been using their products since earlier this year, initially drawn to the longevity benefits like feeling more youthful, having increased energy, enhanced cognition, and better sleep. But there was one unexpected bonus I started to notice: weight loss. Salabine by Verso isn't just about slowing down the aging process. It's packed with research-backed ingredients that also promote fat loss. These ingredients have been proven in both animal and human studies to boost metabolism and improve body composition through a variety of body mechanisms. One aspect is how these ingredients increase the body's process to break down fat and act as a calorie restricting mimetic, essentially fooling your body into thinking it's consuming fewer calories. They also help regulate glucose and leptin levels, which suppress hunger and increase feelings of fullness, effectively curbing cravings. Now, I take Salbine every day to feel like a younger version of myself, combating the signs of aging, which is amazing on its own. Experiencing fat loss is just an added bonus and something I'm really happy about. Plus, Verso ensures transparency and quality by publishing third-party testing results for each batch they produce, so you know you're getting exactly what you pay for. So click on the link in the description on YouTube and Rumble, or head on over to buy.ver.so. Use the coupon code OUTSPOKEN at checkout and you will save 15% on your first order. So I'm just going to repeat all of that for you. It's www.buy.ver.so/outspoken. When you check out with your purchase, if you just enter the word outspoken into the coupon code box, you'll get 15% off. But now, back to the show.
Absolutely right. We should all be proud of what we do, what we have done, what we've achieved, and what we'll continue to do. And wokery is exactly that. And the problem with life as we know it these days is that we are so busy fighting mini fires on every front that we just can't get behind any one cause. And you're right, you know, this stuff is by design. That it's by design. It winds people up. It lets them focus on one thing while something else going on, and they literally cannot concentrate their firepower on one thing and make things good. They're literally sort of buzzing around, fighting all over the place and getting stressed out against absolutely everything. So wokery has a lot to answer for, but you're right, it's a weapon deployed by the left quite effectively as well, and it's ingrained. And we really need to work hard at rooting that out of our system now. And it starts with the establishment, it starts with schools, it starts with the unis, all of those things, because it's ingrained and it is a cancer.
It is. She actually used that word. It is a cancer. Wokery is a cancer. She believes actually it's the most dangerous ideology existing in the world today. I think there's some debate from my point of view about whether it's wokery or extreme Islam, but the point is both are working together at the moment, and that is really disturbing. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.